What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Gen Report. I'm your host, Pablo, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Brian Schultz. Trailer talk. We got 3 glimpses into what's upcoming. We got Supergirl. We got Street Fighter. And we got Green Lantern. Let's start off with Supergirl, because that's one that's very much anticipated. And I've made some claims. I'm still sticking to it.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm still sticking to it. But yeah, the trailer for Supergirl came out last week. What did you think, Brian? I thought it was interesting. I'm not going to say I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see it. I was like, interesting. I'm going to go check it out and see what else we discover from this, because there was a lot of images in this that are, I think, very interesting, that could lead to the next installment of James Gunn's Man of Tomorrow, obviously. But what did you think, Brian?
I was underwhelmed.
Okay.
I was underwhelmed, albeit with a few, I thought, notable positives or valid things that I could see happening. Maybe let's start with the 2 things that jumped out to me as either positives or potential positives. One is, they do seem to be, at least based upon the trailer content, adapting the Woman of Tomorrow comic pretty faithfully. The beats that you're shown of like Supergirl in the bar drinking, and that's from the story. The idea of something bad happens to Krypto, and that is the catalyst for Supergirl getting involved on this girl's revenge quest. That seemed pretty true to the story. Ruthie herself with the sword, which is, and I think in the comics, that's the sword that was used to kill her father, and she's now carrying that sword to try to kill Krem. That seems pretty accurate. So there's definitely some beats to this where it looks like Anna Nagira's screenplay is pretty accurately reflecting the Tom King underlying Woman of Tomorrow comic. So I think that's with some merit. That's something that we've kind of argued maybe they should be doing a little bit more of in the genre, and we'll have to see where that leads. The second positive bit that I see is probably the least surprising aspect, which is the one teased shot of Jason Momoa as Lobo. Looks exactly like Lobo from the comics. People have enhanced the image and the colors and the cigar. And look, I mean, we've known this guy basically. This is basically Lobo playing Jason Momoa and not the other way around. So he looks like that in his one appearance. Yeah. My biggest complaint is I can't tell based upon the trailer that James Gunn did not direct this. This looks to me actually in some ways more James Gunny than the movie he did direct. I mean, the sets and the colors look just like Guardians of the Galaxy and a lot of the Marvel space worlds that he introduced. The Blondie song in the background, the way Millie Alcock is playing Kara, the little action beats we do get. I don't see any, not that Craig Gillespie is a director that I had a defined image of what he is as a director, but I don't really see any independent thought in the trailer. This looks to me like a James Gunn made movie based upon the trailer. And that to me is my biggest concern and complaint as we get into the part of the schedule where we're supposed to see variety, and I'm seeing no variety.
We have to think about the instance that James Gunn put Supergirl in Superman. He created the character as who she was going to be, and I think whoever took on that role had to keep those elements about her in this continuation and in this movie. How much did he have involved? I don't know if there's any indication of that. Perhaps we'll get more information as to how much James Gunn was involved in the creation and the writing of this. I don't know. I don't think he wrote it, but his aesthetics are still there. And I don't know if people will be able to tell the difference. And I think that's a problem.
It is a problem.
Yeah.
I think it's I mean, it's like the issue is that like when Guardians came along in 2014, that was a breath of fresh air counterpoint to where the MCU was. And so that's why we always say over and over again, 2014 is the year the MCU takes off because you get Winter Soldier on the one hand and you get Guardians of the Galaxy on the other. And it opens the door to these possibilities and paths that just weren't there. And the momentum doesn't stop until Endgame. But showing us something to me that looks a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy now feels old. It feels retread. It doesn't feel original. And weirdly, I would say I felt more optimistic watching the initial Superman teaser and trailer because that one, the colors felt a little more vibrant. There were at least a few aerial shots where you're like, oh, Gunn's doing some different things with the drone tech and the camera than I've seen him do before. I mean, this one looked to me more like his work than that. And it just didn't connect with me. And especially given I think this movie faces these built-in, fair or unfair challenges of it's Supergirl and not Superman. I think it had to do more to separate itself and plant its own flag for people to get excited. And I just don't think the trailer did that.
And that's a difficult thing to do, I'd say. That is a difficult thing to do. But again, that question of how much did James Gunn have to do with this is going to be something interesting to learn about. If, in fact, he had a lot of say into perhaps what he wanted to see in terms of jokes, music. I don't know.
But again, these people know more about filmmaking. Have forgotten more about filmmaking than I will ever know. But that doesn't mean I can't suggest an idea. What got me intrigued about the adaptation of this story, and especially when I heard Lobo was being added, and Lobo's not in the comic of this, so that's actually one thing they're doing to kind of Hollywood and biggin this up is the Jason Momoa piece of this, which I think, as we agree, will be additive. But what I found off-putting versus what I thought we might be getting is I liked the idea of a more kind of gritty, harsh, morally ambiguous, down on her life Supergirl as a contrast. I actually do think the line at the end of the trailer I like that line. Superman sees the good in people and I see the truth. I didn't feel like the trailer really reflected that contrast though. And so like when she's in the bar, she's kind of smiling and being like joking about how bad things are. I would have preferred a more dramatic take. I would have preferred a more like she is outright depressed. We have someone with this blue and red suit that we associate with hope and uplift, and she is in the darkness. And I would have preferred when they're in the set piece, instead of her wisecracking, this is not going to go well for you, I would have preferred her John Wicking the crap out of those guys and doing stuff that we would associate more with Batman. And being more close to the line of like, I'm not sure if this is heroic or not, because to me, that's more interesting. Mm-hmm. That establishes her as a character who's been on a much darker, much different path than her cousin because of her circumstances. But by doing it the way they did it, they kind of look like sides of the same coin, except she goes to planets where she can get drunk and he doesn't. Yeah. And you see what I'm saying? Like that's where, to me, the Gunn of it all felt like it was merging, and his humor and his style of it, I thought there was a lane there for this to be still PG-13, but be a different style of action movie and a revenge quest. And it kind of feels like they've just tilted it back toward let's fit it into the same beats that we're used to.
And if that is the case, that is a caveat for me. If the movie can separate itself from what we've already seen, which I don't believe we're seeing right now, but then if it does, it has the potential of outdoing Superman. But if it again, if people don't like it, if people don't like the direction, and if it feels similar, or it's again, James Gunn gotta go, yo.
So my prediction off of this trailer was actually I was gonna go way away from your prediction. I'm going to predict formally right now, based on this trailer, this movie will not make half of what Superman made.
Okay.
So this is going to be under 300 million.
Wow, under 300 million. So Brian, today's what, December 14th.
Clever Lang is out. Prediction.
So Brian is saying less than 300. I'm saying more than Man of Steel. Not Man of Steel.
More than 615.
Yeah, 615.
Yeah.
Let's see what the audience thinks of this, what the critics thinks of this, because if it is slighted towards the negative aspect of this, then yes, certainly we don't get the numbers that I predict Supergirl can achieve, even with Jason Momoa being in this. If what we have seen is different than what we see in the theaters, and it's more of the story that we were looking for, and visually all this other stuff, because there were some visual things in there, Brian, that I sort of enjoyed and I was curious about and wanted to see.
What did you like most visually that you saw?
Her planet when it was being encased in this
Krypton.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that part right there is could be a Brainiac thing.
I thought the same thing, because I think in the comic, her dad saves, what you're seeing is her dad saves the one city. That's the shield you see going up. And so that's why she says Krypton didn't die in a day. Because I think in the comic, they make it seem like her family is able to hold out a little bit longer versus the typical Superman comic of like everything gets wiped out once the core explodes or whatever. And so, yes, I think there's an obvious in there for Brainiac to be teased or to appear and to be part of that sequence. You're right. I didn't mind the visuals of Krypton or Kandor or whatever were being shown in terms of that destruction being played out a little bit over time. And we know there's flashback. Now we know that flashback includes Krypto as puppy, but we know there's flashback because we see Kara in her kind of Krypton robes and so forth. So no, I didn't hate that.
Can't get away from this, dog.
Again, the Krypto is the catalyst in the comic, right? So, and Tom King is in the room, whether you like him or not. And I've read some interesting, both sides of the argument of Tom King as comics writer, but like the comic has Krypto getting severely injured by Krem, I believe, as the reason why Kara finally picks up and joins the quest. And so I think you're supposed to think that scene of him being injured and her crying and petting him is that. I don't know. I think the other thing that's tricky too is, we're doing trailer talk, and like we're going to do several trailer shows because my God, we're getting a lot of material this month. I think this one's going to have a tough time standing out. I think they really wanted to get out first because they knew what else is coming. But I think by the time we get to the end of this month, I don't even know that people are going to remember that this teaser came out. And I think one of the things that's funny is, we're going to talk about Lanterns in a few minutes. You notice that the Lanterns, that reel with that Lanterns was a part of came out the day after Supergirl? I thought that was interesting. They didn't even give that Supergirl teaser any time to breathe before they put Lanterns footage out. So I don't really know like what's happening there, but.
You know why, Brian? He-Man is coming, baby. He-Man is going to outshine them all.
It's not just He-Man, though. Man. Look at this
you got Doomsday, man. And what they're doing Avengers with Doomsday is very clever.
Day. We got so much Doomsday. We got Brand New Day. We got Steven Spielberg. They're doing this viral marketing for his big UFO blockbuster comeback, like Odyssey stuff. Like, I mean, this is.
Yeah, there's
I can't remember a trailer month this big.
Yeah.
In a long time.
Yeah, there's some heavy hitters coming out, but He-Man will outshine them all. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Heavenly. None of these other movies have that adjective attached to it.
Just remember Pablo's smile when the teaser includes "I have the power" and he comes out.
Oh man, I'm gonna tear it.
He rants about it. I'm excited too. For the record, that's as I said, it's a top two. It's a top 2 anticipated movie for me next year. So.
Yeah, I mean, let us know in the comment section below what you guys think of Supergirl and what did you think when you saw it? Did it remind you of the past, and they remind you of the aesthetic that James Gunn has brought to his projects. That is going to be a very interesting sort of conversation when we finally do see this movie, and to hear what other people have to say, obviously, you know?
Let's do Lanterns first. It came out the day after in the HBO 2026 reel. We referenced it a little bit in our Paramount show. Like they are just keeping this thing wrapped. This is like the definition of like, we're going to peel back the corner of the present for you to see. But I still like what I saw.
What we see is just an extension of that first picture we saw of the two of them. That's all. The talks that we've heard, of the rumors about this show, has us thinking about what else haven't they shown, obviously, but what this is. Because what we've heard is that this is an earthbound thing, that they're looking into some mystery or whatever the case may be, but it could be so much more, it seems. And that is what they're holding back. And that is something that we're fine with. Because we don't need to Aquaman this. We don't need to see them in space using their powers. We don't need to see any of it until it is time to show it. And I think that is what they're doing, and I think they're doing a fantastic job. And this holds a lot of potential as to what they can do with this going forward, because the fans and the reaction, the talk of if this Green Lantern is what everybody, not everybody, but is what people are suspecting this is, it could have a huge effect towards the future of DC Comics and its characters. Brian, what do you think about how they showed this and the expectation, I think, based on the talk surrounding this?
I think they're being very smart. And I think they're also leveraging the fact that they're HBO. And HBO itself carries weight, right? And they have their own decorated track record, to where they say this show is a big deal to us. Most people will kind of give them the benefit of the doubt that it should be a big deal to them too. But I think more than anything else, they understand the very basics of what they have, which is, I think they got their casting chemistry right. And what you're seeing is the fact that when Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler are on set together, it looks like they crackle. Like little bits you get in this reel makes it seem like they're very well paired. And I think they're just basically saying that's enough for you right now to stay excited. I think they're also smart enough to realize, in particular, look, I mean, Kyle Chandler's never been bad. He is one of the glue guys of Hollywood. But I mean, you know, you and I, when we saw Rebel Ridge and we immediately taped the show demanding that Aaron Pierre become Jon Stewart, I think in some ways we're shortchanging Aaron Pierre. I think when I see him in interviews, when I see him even in these little quick cuts, I think you're looking at one of the next megastars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you are seeing someone they got into this role before he became so in demand that he may have been impossible to get to do this 3 years from now. I just think when you see him on screen, you're just like, your eyes are so like, I'm just locked into every little thing he does, and how some people look like stars and act like stars and sound like stars. And to me, he is one of those guys. And I think they're milking that in the promotion, you know, and they're basically saying like, this is one of the next guys you need to see. And they can hold back all the rest and all the smoke, by the way. Like, I have not heard anyone say a bad word about this. I have not heard anyone who's seen anything of it, who's heard anything about what was going on set, all the smoke around the fact that there is a lot of intergalactic and there is a lot of Lantern stuff that they're not showing you. Every single person's been like, this thing is it. Like, they got it. And like, this type of marketing would suggest confidence that they have it. And to me, that's brilliant because like if it's HBO and they get you with, let's say the first 4 episodes are really Earthbound and X-Files-y and all that sort of stuff and investigations and mysteries, and then like think about the buzz you generate when you drop episode 6 and all of a sudden the rings are out and these dudes are in space and there's reveals of Sinestro and Red Lantern and Black. Like think about the buzz if that comes and you've hit it the whole time.
Is how you do things, pretty much.
Yes. Yeah, but you can do that when you have brand and you have belief, right? Like, and HBO has both. And I think it's also, to your point, this is one of those shows, you mentioned the future. This is one of those shows that no matter who takes control of WB, this show looks like a tentpole, right? It looks like a centerpiece. Because like in the hands of Paramount, of course, they're going to continue to throw money at a project like this and have it be run by the people that are running it and build it up. But Netflix also sees this the same. It's similarly in the sense of this is the broadening of the DC universe. This is exactly the type of premium content we want HBO for. So in a weird way, this is a project that both bidders probably see and feed similarly going forward. So yes, I believe with an exclamation point, a successful season 1 of Lanterns is something that can be more and bigger no matter who is the owner of WB. And yes, you referenced it before, but you know, there is that little lure of like, you know, if Netflix was the owner and this show really takes off and becomes something like a Game of Thrones or something like a White Lotus, it's like that season finales will start going to the theater. Maybe not season 1, but season 2 premiere finale, something will go to the theater too for you to see.
And this is somewhat of an easy decision based on analytics.
Yes, it is. This is one of those weird times where everything is aligned. This is it. I agree. And I as much as I'm dying to see more, I'm glad I'm not seeing more.
Absolutely. Street Fighter?
Yeah.
Listen. Street Fighter, the game, you watch it now, is like there's no expectation for live action other than the animated stuff that we've seen in the past, which were, I think, dope. Live action, though, we can't get no lower than Jean-Claude Van Damme's turn in Street Fighter. We can't get lower than that. We can't. There's only upside. And this is upside to me. This fits what you could possibly visualize with Street Fighter live action. What they showed us, Brian, I think gives a lot of people, especially fans of that IP, a lot of perhaps some excitement. And certainly for me, curiosity to see what else is done. Because again, dude, all you gotta do is look at the Jean-Claude Van Damme joint. You can't get any lower than this. So what else can you give us? If you give us live action, I'm gonna check it out because I already seen the worst of the worst. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You want to torture somebody? Tie them down and have them sit through watching that movie, yo. Put tape on their eyelids and just have them watch.
Pablo's a Clockwork Orange. That's what's going to.
You know what I'm saying? That movie is an atrocity. So this right here is, and based on the little things that we've seen and now the trailer, I think, although we still don't know, do we know when is release date for that? Do we have a release date for that?
Yeah, it's next year. It's like, I think it's April of next year.
Okay. What do you think, Brian, in terms of what you saw and its release date? It's not being the summer. It's in a place where I think it has a lot of room for success. What do you think?
Apologies. It's October of next year. Sorry, Mortal Kombat 2 is summer. It's October 16th, 2026. Okay. That's when it's coming out. It's in the fall.
Okay.
Which I think is actually strengthens your point. It's actually a little bit clearer in the calendar.
Comparing to what the October we got for 2025.
When Mortal Kombat 2 was supposed to come out, but didn't. I found myself actually thinking about He-Man watching this teaser because I think whatever else you think of the teaser, they clearly looked at the game and said, we want the characters to look as close as possible to the video game counterpart, no matter how seemingly silly the elements were, right? There's been a lot of talk about Cody Rhodes' hair. And it's like, that is what Guile's hair looks like. Like, if you pull him up in the game, he's got this blonde hair that goes forever. Like, that is what it looks like. So there is a lot of attention to detail in terms of color scheme, hairdos, props. So they're really going for the game accurate aesthetic. And that's why I kept thinking about He-Man, because we know He-Man is going for the cartoon accurate aesthetic. Mm-hmm. I think that all works. And I think the teaser very smartly just gives you almost like a sizzle reel of the characters, which again is something I would recommend He-Man do with its teaser. Just show me Man-at-Arms, Teela, Beastman, Merman, Ram-Man, Trapjaw. Just show me those. Just show me them. I don't even need to see them do anything. Yeah. Just show me how accurate they look and that you have made something ridiculous look cool. I think the teaser achieves that. I'm less sold on the action. And then I found myself thinking, what do I actually want from the action in a Street Fighter movie? Because so many of the moves are cartoonish in the game, right? They are not like the 100-handed punch is just it's not meant to look gritty and real. It's just like being attacked by this giant sumo wrestler in rapid fire. Like, I don't. So, like, what do I actually want? Because you clearly see a couple of the special moves being done with wires. I wouldn't say they look spectacular, like in any real sense, but they're there as a nostalgia element to say, ooh, there's that move. And I weirdly think, as bad as the movie is, the original Mortal Kombat movie does some of that. Like, Liu Kang does the bicycle kick, right? And it's like, it's ridiculous, but you're waiting for him to do it because he does it, it's one of his specials in the game. So I don't know how good the martial arts has to be in this for this movie to be great, which is different. Normally, we care a lot about how good the martial arts are. Like, we care a lot about, like, for example, in the next Batman, how good of a martial artist is he? In this one, it's like you kind of want to see the highlights, and you kind of want to see the highlights done cool, and you want to see the tournament format being played out in a fun way. So I don't know. I did have one highlight, though, and I think you and I both have stock in this guy, but I think he is one of those, like, character actors who's underrated, and I think he should be a bigger star, but he's not. I think Ryu looks phenomenal. Andrew Koji, to me, like, every time he's on screen, I am in. He's just not really in a lot of projects that, like, reach the heights of anything. Like, Snake Eyes, the movie, is terrible. I actually think he's pretty good as Storm Shadow. I think he's really interesting as Storm Shadow in that movie. You talked about that series Warrior, where he basically is playing Bruce Lee. But, like, when I see Ryu, like, he looks just like the Ryu character. And when I see his face and his movement, I'm like, that is the guy. Like, I don't know. So that's just one of those random I thought was really cool.
To me, this reminds me of Super Mario Brothers. In the nostalgia aspect, can you bring that aspect to it so that we can be like, oh snap, and it is an enjoyable time. The story, I don't, like, I don't.
Just get to the tournament. Just get to the tournament. That's part of the problem with the original movie that stinks so much is they actually tried to build this contrived, ridiculous story into it. That's why when Mortal Kombat, the movie, came out the next year, I was actually, like, sort of entertained because I was like, at least these fools got to the damn tournament within like 20 minutes and let them start fighting one-on-one, as stupid as the whole concept was. But so I think it's that. Also, to your point about nostalgia, look where they dropped this. Just to be clear, they released this teaser at a video game award show. And then it went online. They know the audience. They know who they're going for.
Absolutely.
They had a couple cast members get up on stage and give them this teaser at a crew and crowd of video game aficionados. That's who they wanted to please. And it hit, supposedly. That's the word. So I think it looks fine. Is it big bucks? I don't know if it's big bucks. Like Mario Brothers, you could sort of, even as much as you were on that, I could see your argument for why that would explode in animated form. This one, I'm like, the ceiling's not at that high.
No. I mean, one of the reasons for me was, and the same reason for why I believe He-Man is going to be such a huge thing, is that you bring your kids, man. You can bring your kids to this. Street Fighter, I don't know so much, right? So that's going to be a different teenagers for sure, and multiple watches. Who knows? But
I think that's a really interesting point because the tone and the feel of this is much lighter. It's similar to the game. Street Fighter the game looks and feels much more family friendly than Mortal Kombat, which always wanted to be bloody, gory, and mature. Way back when. That's never changed. And when you look at the way the movie franchises are evolving, when I saw this teaser, I immediately thought of that as well. This is going for lighter, nostalgic. I didn't see any action, at least in the teaser, that you'd be worried about showing a younger audience. Whereas you know that in Mortal Kombat 2, if they actually are going to show the tournament, you're going to see fatalities, you're going to see blood, you're going to see R-rated stuff, right? So I think the question for next year, with both of those movies coming out within 6 months of each other, is we're back where it started, man. These two franchises are head to head. Who is going to win the 2026 Fighter Adaptation Award and be more positioned to have a franchise?
Interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff. Let us know in the comment section below. Out of all these trailers, which one are you more excited about? Which one are you more excited about, Brian? I think for me, Green Lantern, because
Lantern's 1.
Yeah.
Lantern's 1, Street Fighter 2, Supergirl 3 for me.
I agree with that. So yeah, let us know in the comment section below what you guys think of Supergirl, Green Lantern, and Street Fighter. We got trailers for all of these. There are certainly a bunch more that are going to be coming out that we're going to be talking about in our other show.